stage. And considering the green room for us, we usually have in our rider. It's very detailed, like we need water, coffee, beautiful couch, some healthy things, some snacks, dinner. Here at Angelo's at Nino Italia, our green room is right next to the ice box over there. But that's okay. We'd like to leave you with this song, You Are Very Tall. I'm used to having somebody taller than me. Leave you with this beautiful song that Louis Prima played and Louis Armstrong played, many others played. To me it exemplifies the joy and everything that Louis Prima stood for in his music when he hit the bandstand. And before that, actually, you know what, I have a couple of things to say, so just hold on a second. No, I asked him to play under, then I'm like, wait, I'm going to talk a long time. You're going to run out of things to play. 1 second. But you know, jazz musicians coming up and playing jazz music in America, you know, we so much focus on the artistry and we focus on, you know, this rich, you know, learning this rich body of music, and then when it comes time to talking about it, about what we do, sometimes that is kind of the driving element, and sometimes it's more of a kind of a commercial spin on what we do. And Louis Prima, and I mentioned my wife earlier, who has not divorced me as of yet, so this is all good. But she's, we met on the other side of the world, and when I was living in Doha, Qatar, and she's Lebanese, so she's like, you know, Mediterranean, same kind of, you know, vibe. And she came up to me after my set, and she said, well, a couple of weeks when we got to know each other, she said, you know, I really love Louis Prima, why don't you play some of his music? And I didn't for 10 years we've been together, and we still got married. But the point is, she's like 5 years younger than me. And no matter what I tell her, she seems to not be impressed about the concerts I have. Like last month, I said, you know, I'm going to Florence, Italy, to play one of the oldest theaters in Florence, right? I said, you want to come? She said, oh, you know, because it was a short trip, right? I said, Royal Albert Hall in London, right? You want to come? She's not impressed, right? I said, I'm going out to Japan for 4 days. You want to join me in Tokyo? No. I mentioned that I'm doing the Louis Prima concert here, and she said, I need to be there. I need to be there. So she loves this music, and generations love this music, and most people just know it for, like, you know, the joyful, great music it is. But as all of us in the room, we know we dig deeper into the incredible artistry and the incredible genius in Louis Prima. And as you so beautifully mentioned earlier, how Louis Prima was really that conduit to opening up the door for so many great Italian-American artists. And it's interesting you mentioned about so many who changed their names, and so many of the great writers of the great American songbook, you know, during Gershwin and Cole Porter and all that. There's so many great Italian-American writers who did change their names, and it took me 20 years to figure out that that Harry Warren was Italian. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. Okay. And so, you know, I can't thank you enough, Basil and Pam and everybody at the Louis Prima Foundation for dedicating this evening and bringing this wonderful exhibition. I can't wait to see it. And you said his trumpet is there as well?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. Because I need a new one, so this one is full. I'm just going to grab it as soon as I leave. Yeah. Right. So what an absolute pleasure and a gift, and to have an opportunity to play Louis Prima's music. And he's inspired so many. And on the educational front, we got to keep it going, and in music education as well, right? We all talk about Louis Armstrong, we talk about Duke Ellington, we talk about all these brilliant artists that we need to learn. In the fold, Louis Prima needs to be in that fold, because he had his own unique voice in the space, certainly coming from Louis Armstrong and all of that, but he did something very unique with it, and it's wonderful. So, okay, all that to say, see, that's why I asked you to stop playing. So, and I have a couple other things we want to cover. Any questions, comments? So I do want to thank Basil and Pam, thank you. Wonderful creative collaborator across all of our projects, Mr. Emmett Murphy back here, who came in from Los Angeles. So we're going to leave you with this beautiful song, and we thank you all so much for coming out. Everybody enjoyed themselves? That was a lot of fun. Very good. All right, we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for the opportunity. Wait, don't leave yet. We got to